JackJack1620.
Yes.
Did you know that there's an illustrious podcast hosted by yourself
There is.
and me, JayTI7N?
Oh my God.
It's the After Raid Hours, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, you lovely people, to the After Raid Hours.
Hi, everybody.
How's it going?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Hell yeah, I'm just busy, bro. It's been a good time.
Just being a hard-working man.
Hardworking. Oh, also been studying.
Oh, yeah. You have all those exams.
Suck. Give me the suck, dude. It's rough. It's rough out there, but it's a good time. So, been a lot going on in Pokemon Go. Before we get to that, real quick, want to give a quick shout out. I posted it in Aurora Masters. Kind of been posting it everywhere. My lovely wife, Carla, has been working on a wonderful serial, free-to-read serial, meaning a series, fictional series, that kind of explores the time between 2004, 2005 to 2015. So it's kind of millennial daydream of like our high school and
retro
college,
throwbacks.
Retro throwbacks. It's got a lot of bangers on various character playlists. 6 best friends navigating this through the Pacific Northwest, and got a whole bunch of history and baggage, and it's a really good time. She's starting publishing on September 2nd for the first episode. So if you haven't already seen it, I think I posted it in the off topic where it should be in Aurora Masters. Please check that out. It's free. Despite the buttons that might tell you otherwise, because if you click on it, it might be like, please subscribe for money. You're free to choose not to pay money to still read it. So
yeah,
there's
and
that.
Free is always nice, but it's also nice to see what goodies are in extra content.
Absolutely. So if you do choose to subscribe, really easy to get a lot of extra content. She's done a lot of work on this, got a lot of art done. And put together like even Spotify playlists for each of the characters.
Nice.
It's all very topical. It's all very fun.
Hell yeah.
Really interesting, and she's an excellent writer. So please check it out if you have the time. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Also want to shout out JackJack1620. He does so much for this community. And yeah, we really appreciate you. So
Thank you.
Even though I don't live in Aurora, and I haven't for 2 years now, I still try to come down to do some Aurora Masters stuff and have a good time. And that can't be possible without you and the people supporting. So, anyway, those are my quick shout-outs.
Oh, you're
That's
too
right.
fucking kind.
Also, shout-out, summer's almost over. It's time, baby.
Oh.
It's almost time. We're going to hit that, what we call it, the Holy Trinity.
The Holy
holidays.
Trinity. I'm so excited.
September's coming.
Yes.
There's a lot of good things happening on the horizon, but and a lot of good things to look forward to. So let's go ahead and dive into some Pokemon. There's some Pokemon Go news recently. We keep talking about tournaments, and I got kind of jazzed up from the World Championships happened in Pokemon, and the World Championships covered the video games.
Okay.
So Scarlet, Violet, and all that.
Yeah, I was like, please dive into that because I have no knowledge of worlds.
There's
I just know there is a pika in a scuba suit.
Yeah, so
That was
the
it.
Pokemon Go tie-in was the Pikachu in the scuba suit.
Okay.
If you watched Twitch streams of Pokemon Worlds, regardless of what content they were showing, and you linked your Pokemon Go account to your Amazon account, your Twitch account,
Okay.
they actually had like special drops for certain items in Pokemon.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't anything like exclusive, but it's still cool to have those goodies just for watching, or at least
Yeah, for funsies. Why not?
So anyway, World Championships happened in Hawaii. Really cool. Still need to get there or go there.
Yeah, at some point, definitely.
I am legally part of Hawaii. That's where we got married. That's where I put my sand on the beach. It was a great time.
Oh.
We did the whole Hawaiian, actual Hawaiian rituals and stuff for a while.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, so it was pretty cool there. But they do cover the video game competitive scene, stuff way above my mind capacity, my pay grade. Because I think we've talked about this in the past. Like I'm just gonna keep hitting you with attacks. I'm not doing the setups. I'm not doing the swords dance into trick room.
Yeah, I'm just a brute
whatever.
force kind of guy.
My Pokemon all have 4 offensive moves, and they might cover different types. It might not even be stab. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
He's getting in there. He's hitting you. He's giving you the 5-piece combo for free.
Yay.
So and I don't remember too much of that outside of the final battle was thrilling in that Miraidon, the future dragon motorcycle Pokemon.
Yeah. So folks that don't know Miraidon, think like Tron meets dragon.
The Tron cycle.
Yeah, Tron cycle. Mm-hmm. That's the easiest visual if you aren't in the newest of the generations. That just think of that.
So the trainer had a Miraidon, had their opponent on the ropes.
Okay.
Sent in a Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor missed.
What?
It missed, and the other person won and cost the person $30,000. So,
dang.
So first place or second place happened because Miraidon missed. So there was a bunch of memes about Miraidon missing Draco Meteor.
That's so sad.
So there was that. There was the trading card World Championships.
Okay.
I definitely don't know much about that, but I do know the World Championship winning deck only costs $60 compared to
people that spend like hundreds.
Other competitive card games in which these decks cost hundreds or thousands of dollars. So I thought that was really impressive. Good time to get into Pokemon TCG if you have interest in that. We have
extra money.
Yeah, money for sure. We have a lot of resources if you're interested in that. And then last but not least, there was Pokemon Go in the World Championships, and that was represented by quite a few people. I think 208 people qualified through various things, and then they came through, had a 208-person tournament. The winner was a trainer out of, I think, Hong Kong. But anyway, I mainly wanted to talk about the team a little bit.
Okay.
I don't remember all the stats and all the moves on each of them, but there's just the Pokemon. We'll talk about just the Pokemon. So we've been
as it should be the feature.
We did a lot of tournaments in the past, and you'll recognize some of these. It's all Great League, because that's the most competitive league.
Yes.
There's Master League can do whatever.
I've actually been doing Master League more because it's just I finally found a team that I can work with, but it took a while.
Yeah, and Master League is awesome because you can use the things that you pumped stuff into, but so can everybody else. Great League takes a lot of skill in that you have that cap, so not every Pokemon is eligible for Great League all the time.
True statement.
And then there's its own little meta that got built into Great League, and that's why these teams succeed. So first Pokemon I was going to bring up, Skarmory. If you remember back in the day, all of our tournaments, anytime Steel or Flying was available, Skarmory was on the team.
Was that bitch.
Skarmory is that bitch, for sure. 100%.
Hell yeah.
Skarmory. Another one, Altaria.
Okay.
Altaria has always been kind of a hard hitter and a great league battler, 1500 or less CP.
Okay.
So those are the two that I thought was interesting because those are pretty common.
Yeah, pretty standard.
They have been standard. They've been heavyweights through the past.
Okay.
So then, kind of fast forward, there was a recent entry that was exciting to get, Annihilape. Annihilape is awesome in the Scarlet Violet games. It's a ghost fighting, I believe.
Ghost fighting.
And to get it in Pokemon Go, you have to, was it 20?
I thought it was like
battles?
battle like, was it like super move? I need to double check. It's been a hot minute.
The way you
while we wait.
The way you did it in like Scarlet and Violet is to like, you have to have it fight a whole bunch of fights without dying, essentially.
Oh, defeat 30 Psychic or Ghost type Pokemon.
Oh, okay. So not that.
So a lot of people were like fighting like rockets with Ghosts and like backing out of battles, or if you have buddies, you just battle them.
Yeah, just 10 CP, send out Psychic or Ghost, whatever you're looking for. This works with Charcadet as well.
Yes.
And other battling defeat style type Pokemon evolutions. Anyway, so Annihilate, that made a lot of sense to me, but it's really interesting because it's a newer Pokemon, so that's kind of exciting.
All right.
Okay. Then the next one that kind of threw me for a loop, Charjabug.
What?
Electric bug type Charjabug.
The little bus?
The bus. Not Vikavolt, which I love Vikavolt. No, Charjabug.
What move does he have that makes him different than... Because I think of it almost like the same way like with Golbat, because Golbat has like poison, like that bite move that charges really quick, and it's better to use for those tournaments than like Crobat is. So like, what moves does it get that's like makes it unique?
I mean, I don't know if it makes it unique.
Does it have lunge?
It's got Bug Bite and Discharge.
Okay.
And then it has, you can do Spark and Discharge as well. Bug Bite Discharge is usually the combo. It does have access to Crunch.
Oh, okay.
X's are also pretty good. Spark and Discharge really good for defense. So it's...
what moveset did they have for it?
Again, I don't quite
remember.
I don't quite remember.
Because I was like, Crunch is a surprising one. And is it just because it has like good hit points, like good defense?
It's got
like
some
it
pretty
could
good,
just absorb shit?
It's got some pretty good defense, and then it's also really good because, again, I just talked about Skarmory and Altaria.
Yeah.
Running some electric into there is pretty damn good.
Nice.
So it's it's pretty damn good. So Charge a Bug really kind of threw me for a loop. Another one was Licky Tongue.
Licky Tongue?
Licky Tongue. And it's got stuff like
obviously
Power Whip.
Yeah, that's a
Lick
solid
is pretty
one.
good. It was.
Is
it was
Power
pretty
Whip
good.
a normal or is it a grass?
Power Whip's grass type.
Okay.
So like people really like Licky Tongue.
That's
because
amazing.
it's a it's bulky. It's a normal type, so it's a generalist.
Yeah.
And people really fucking jam with that. So Licky Tongue was there, and then last but not least, but probably my favorite, the heavy hitter, Shadow Quagsire. Shadow Quagsire is a fucking monster.
Is it?
In Pokemon
I don't even know if I have like a good shadow like
I have two very good Shadow
Oshawa
Whoopers.
Whoopers, yeah.
I have two very good Shadow Whoopers. So anyway,
like Shadow Quag.
Those 6 Pokemon, so again, Annihilate, Skarmory, Altaria, Shadow Quagsire, Charge-a-Bug, Licky Tongue were the ones that brought it home for Pokemon Go in the World Championships.
Oh no, I do have a good Shadow Quag.
Oh, you really do. Yeah. Unfortunately, Shadow takes a little bit more
to boost
resources to get in there. But
I don't mind if he's a menace.
But it's pretty damn good. I'll do some more research. I'll share with you guys.
Okay.
The movesets and stuff. But I thought that was really kind of exciting. And it got me thinking, again, because we want to do... I still want to put together a tournament. I just got to sit down and really think about what that needs to be because I think...
Well, and again, I think, if anything, still do that. Yep. Still sit down. But I think it'd be good, like, if Funsies, like... Battle Royale, like introduction to battling for folks. If folks who don't PvP often but just want to get out, meet people, learn how to do it, I think it'd be great to do that. I know on a side note, it just reminds me. So, I obviously a lot of you folks know I work in engineering, and this summer we had an intern, and one of my prides and joys that I was able to do before he left back to college was give a dissertation on Pokemon Go. A dissertation, and it was a good hour-long dissertation that I pulled out on the fly and was able to continuously talk without worry.
Would you have written a master's thesis based off of Pokemon Go?
I am confident I could do a master's thesis now.
I bet you could. I'm just...
On the impact of social engineering and also ArcGIS and inputs with government.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, Pokemon Go can actually change your life.
It can do what? Like, depending on how you use it. So, like any tool, it has its perks. Some of us have problems and addictions because we keep buying incubators and have problems there. Just like people who keep buying raid passes to use on Pikachus. Don't do that. Don't waste your raid passes on 1-star Pokemon. It is not worth it. That shiny is not. Save your money. But anyway... When it came to that, like, just covering, I just didn't realize how diverse the game is.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even dive into PvP into the last, like, 45 minutes of the dissertation.
The last 45 minutes?
Or the last, like, 50 minutes, I should say.
Okay.
And because the first part I was talking about, like, the community aspects of, like, all the different player types and how that works with conflict management.
Yep.
And I brought up, like, old situations, like, people who are, like, really horrible to raid with. I won't say their names, but they're really loud. And how like you kind of learn to deal with different player types. And it's very similar to like construction or engineering, where some folks are harder to deal with, but you still have to deal with them regardless. So like, how do you work with people who don't want to work with you?
Right.
And I think Pokemon helps teach that in a lot of ways. Or you kind of learn as you go. It doesn't teach you, you're just exposed to it. And I think exposure is a great tool of learning, because without exposure, how are you going to get that first-hand knowledge? So, and with Pokemon, again, it puts you out into the world. You have to explore. You have to find stuff. So that's how we found parks. We found restaurants. I was telling him how we use it in Japan to find things.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I was like, I don't know this road. And then we had mapped stuff out with Pokemon. That's how we found certain shrines that were nearby. Like, it was awesome. And finding landmarks. And I was explaining that to my intern and my coworker. And now there's 2 new players to the Pokemon Go community.
And do me a favor and tell the people what teams they play for there.
So my coworker chose right and true and chose instinct.
Okay.
And I had him do research on the teams to see which one he felt he vibed with the most. Originally, he was going to choose Mystic as well, like I was. Because I was going to be a Mystic player, but I just didn't understand what Mystic meant. And when he read the caption, he's like, that sounds kind of cocky. And I was like, it does. And that's not what it should be. I think they need to kind of do a rebrand of themselves.
Rebrand yourself.
Yeah, rebrand yourself.
Use the Galarian Articuno.
They should be more. That's more Mystic than that Articuno. But when it came down to it, he's like, instinct falls more within. My young intern, because when he was but a wee lad at the tender age of 12, he chose his team and just said, know any better. And like those who don't know any better chose Valor.
It's true.
And yeah, and he played into it like right away, like day one. He took out a gym that I had barely just taken over a minute before.
It's real Valor.
He's like, I just took it over, and I'm like, I was barely in there, and he's like, and this before I even knew his team, I'm like, you're red, aren't you? He's like, how did you know? I'm like, because that's just like you.
So valorous energy there. I love to see it.
Just right out the womb, taking stuff. And
you keep doing it.
Being inconsiderate.
Valor, baby.
Gross. But no, it was a good time, and again, they came in just right. So at that time, we just concluded with the Adventure Week, which sadly was not as adventurous as I had hoped.
Yeah. It was a little let down with the Adventure Week this year. We were hyping it up. It's usually a stellar event.
I did not see as many Tyrants or Moras or Cranidos or Archons or Torteras, or no, what are the little turtles?
The Tortuga.
Is it Tortugas?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't seeing many of them. Like, it just made me sad because I always treat Adventure Week like Jurassic Park. Like, that is my shit.
Yeah.
And I did see a lot of Aerodactyls, so they just needed to have the Aerodactyl spawn rates be the same for all the other dinos. It seemed like a lot of it was very research based, which makes sense. That's part of the adventure. But they always had Pokemon spawns also. So it just seemed like this year they just dropped that. So that kind of killed my high for it. And then that immediately kind of led into the Worlds Week in a way.
Yep.
And with Worlds, it was nice because people had the chance. So the new shiny releases that were there were obviously Scuba Pika. And then there was also Minfu. So Minfu is one of the fighting types. I think its final evolution is fighting Psychic.
Mm-hmm.
That you only usually get when you participate in PvP. The researches for that, I think, were like power up 10 times for that one, or do a raid or battle. So like, again, if you're wasting your raid passes, I'm sorry. If you're wasting your daily pass, that's fine because you get that shit daily. But if you're using your own personal passes or remote passes, I hope you learn not to do that because that's just not worth it.
Yeah, I just kind of wasn't.
Yeah, and like again, I was hoping for them to be in the just spawning everywhere, and it made me so sad the fact like this is one of the few Pikachus that should have been everywhere, and it wasn't because it's so cute. Like it was like obviously you know that Pikachu's struggling in the walk with its fucking flippers on, waddling through places, and I was like that's so cute, and yeah.
I thought it was actually a really great design.
Yeah, like that one, and that was funny because I actually had my coworker bring it up. He's like, I saw the Pikachu in the scuba suit. Is that like typical? Can you change the costumes? And we had a whole nother side TED talk about that and how Niantic just hasn't brought costumes to the forefront. And I still don't understand why. It would be such an easy money maker. But what I think it dives down to is, again, the coding and then the support to keep it up.
Yeah. Especially
for every Pokemon, it'd be kind of hard. Because I already know I'd be a menace, and all my Pokemon have the Mimikyu hats, and just be rolling deep. It'd be amazing. But I digress. Now, we're kind of in this lull between events. We just had the Classic for Beldum, which is nice. So if you didn't have your shiny Beldum, that was a perfect opportunity. If you didn't have your platinum badge for a steel type, that would have been the best day for you.
Yeah. And psychic, right?
I think it is psychic too. So yeah, you could have easily banked on those, got it easier to catch. Because again, I was having to explain to a lot of new players, so that's why it's so fresh in my mind. But that was a great day. I don't think the weather was kind of hot that day, at least here in Colorado.
Yeah, a little warm.
It's been a little bit toasty with our random afternoon thunderstorms and whatever we keep getting here. And then upcoming is going to be Popplio's Day.
Popplio!
At the end of the month, I believe August 31st.
Correct.
From 2 to 5, wherever you play.
Correct.
And it should be awesome. Primarina is going to be the final evolution.
Yep.
It'll get Hydro Cannon, and then its signature move, which I forgot the exact name of it.
Sparkling Aria is a water type move.
Yeah, so
But
that'll be released then.
So basically, whenever you evolve, you'll get the Hydro Cannon, as the case with all water starters. But they've added the Primarina signature move, Sparkling Aria, to the move pool, so you can add a third move potentially. Or if you just don't like Hydro Cannon for whatever reason,
keep Hydro
You
Cannon.
can change it. I would keep Hydro Cannon and add a third move, and then you can use a charge TM to cycle through and hopefully get the Sparkling Aria. But that's a cool move. You can also, as with Community Days, make an additional special trade for the day. That's pretty nice.
Hell yeah.
Carla and I have been trying to get her Lucky Decks fully blinged out.
How far is she?
She's at close to 700.
Okay.
She's got quite a substantial Lucky Decks. The only one we're missing, so like her and I don't get Lucky Friends very often.
Poor kid.
If at all. I don't know why. I really don't understand. I get Lucky Friends with like Kyle all the time.
Right, and Kyle doesn't even care, which is the funniest part.
And then I've been sitting on some Lucky Friends for like 4 years now or whatever. But
You still have Lucky Friends with a lot of my babies.
All your babies. I still have Lucky Friends for Chris's account. It's just like nonstop. But anyway.
You need to figure out what you want. Then we can meet up and trade.
True. But anyway, so her and I don't have Lucky Friends, so we're saving some of the rarer Pokemon and legendaries for that.
Fair.
Unless she gets lucky with other people that have those Pokemon. But either way, so we've just been trading a bunch back and forth. But having extra special trades is pretty nice there. And then also trading on Community Day is nice because all trades are 50% off.
Yes.
Stardust-wise.
Definitely.
And Stardust is still the currency you want in this game. As you can tell from the Pikachus recently.
Oh my goodness.
But this one will be
so many power-ups.
3 times catch XP. So if you're still working on getting your levels, I think they're going to increase the level from 50 to 55 soon. Rumor, sorry.
Just know like the nurses theme, like wee woo, is just like going off my head. I'm like, yes.
There's a level increase likely coming, as well as Gigantamax. We'll get into that in a second.
Yes.
But so 3 times catch XP during Popplio Community Day.
Okay.
And the same thing, 3-hour incense, 3-hour lures. Please just follow typical Community Day etiquette. Don't throw a lure on right before the Community Day.
Yes,
starts.
for the love.
And then 2 times catch candy, 2 times chance to receive candy XL. So that's Popplio.
Okay.
Popplio is cool. I think underrated Pokemon.
Definitely.
Primarina is amazing. Their shinies are pretty good. It's kind of a... Well, Popplio is hard to see, but Brion is a little bit lighter with a little bit more pink tinge to the skirt and ear things. And then Primarina is like basically that. She's that bitch. She got
She's platinum
nice
blonde.
platinum blonde, pink highlights. Great Pokemon. Popplio was technically my first starter in Sun and Moon, and then I wanted Decidueye more. But like, I still like Popplio and Primarina. But anyway, so yeah, that's going to be a fun Community Day. That one's exciting. And then they actually announced even the following Community Day recently.
Yeah.
Which will only be 2 weeks after this Community Day. So it's going to be kind of a bang bang. I don't know. They threw August towards the end of the month, which I wonder if that's because they did the World Championship.
I think it is Worlds.
Even though that didn't necessarily have any sort of Pokemon Go tie-in event itself.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean? It had the
Scuba
whole
Pikachu. You're
Scuba
right.
Pika.
My bad.
How dare?
The Honolulu Scuba Pikachu. They did also announce Worlds. The next 2 years will be in Anaheim, which is LA.
Oh, LA.
And then San Francisco after that.
Oh, wow.
So
they're just
back to back California, but for the first time in a couple of years, North America will host Pokemon Worlds.
Interesting.
So that might be interesting. I don't know if anything's going to happen from that. I know 2028 LA Olympics. We were thinking about doing that, but that's a different conversation. But
Wild.
Ultimately, we have those to look forward to. So Popplio Community Day, awesome. Not to be overshadowed, they announced Ponyta will be the September Community Day, September 14th, which is also a Saturday. 2 to 5 still. They haven't swapped the schedule like they typically do in winter time because it's not winter yet. It's still
they're like, deal with it, scrubs.
But I forgot when that change takes place. I don't remember if it's like in October or November. But the Ponyta Community Day is actually exciting because that'll have the triple triple Stardust.
Yes.
In which case, please catch as many Pokemon as you can that day. Even if you don't want Ponyta, you should want Ponyta. It's a great Pokemon, and they're
adorable.
It's going to be a dual feature, so both forms, the Cantonian and the Galarian form. And I love both of them very much. Blue Ponyta and Blue Rapidash, like from the Cantonian, is just
Chef's
molto
kiss.
bene, chef's kiss.
Molto bene.
I really like shiny Galarian Ponyta and Rapidash as well.
It's like cream color.
Yeah, and then they'll both kind of unfortunate, but they both get Wild Charge as their special move.
So that's a weird one.
It is weird. I like Wild Charge. I have it on one of my Arcanines for the sake of just
to fuck up water types.
Yeah,
they're like, we got you. You're like, I got you.
It's fun, and I like Wild Charge in the game. I have a Pokemon that uses nothing but those recoil type moves, and it does a shit ton of damage. But anyway, giving it to the Rapidashes is kind of interesting. The Flare Blades would have made sense for at least. It would be interesting if they would have swapped typings or something like that.
Just give it a special
If they gave, like, if Cantonian Rapidash, you get Cantonian Rapidash and it has like a fairy type move or something out of left field.
Yeah.
And then Galarian Rapidash if it had like a fire type move.
Dude, that'd make it super rare. You're like,
that'd be super fun. I like when they do the off type move, so this one technically falls into that category because it's a electric type move on a fairy and a fire Pokemon. But that Community Day will also be pretty cool. Hopefully start cooling down. It'll be September.
Please.
And hopefully we get things like there's that new fire that just happened between Golden and Blackhawk because of lightning. So hopefully that stuff starts to chill out a little bit.
I am so done. Like, I hope that everyone else is also done with the fire.
Absolutely.
The fires that have been breaking out, at least in Colorado.
Rough. So, hoping and praying that stops. But yeah, so that's Community Day stuff. And then, my gosh, what else are we going to talk about? Well, some future stuff. So this current season will be coming to an end soon.
Yes.
And then Pokemon Go accidentally showed the next season would be called Max Out.
I think the 16th season. Right?
And then, they deleted all traces of Max Out, but the internet never forgets.
Nope.
In which case, the long data mine, but also rumored thing, and that the big gimmick from Gen 8, which will be the next gen that we move on to, will be Gigantamax. So there will be Gigantamax battles.
Big boy Pika.
Not quite sure exactly the mechanics on it. But Gigantamax is pretty cool. It's really interesting. I know people were let down because they wanted more Mega Evolution at the time when Gigantamax first came out. But I think it kind of grew on people a little bit. There's some really cool designs. I really love Gigantamax, like Snorlax.
Pika.
Pika's great. Just it brought back the OG fat Pika. Pika.
Chunk.
The long cat Meowth is pretty funny. I don't know why Meowth got one, but
that was a good choice.
Eevee's just giga fluffy. The Charizard's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, Charizard is dope.
I'm not a Charizard fan.
Same.
But Gigantamax Charizard's kind of cool.
It looked dope.
Blastoise
and Venusaur.
Oh yeah.
All the boys.
Like I said, Snorlax. Gigantamax Garbodor. Got like a little ship in it.
Yeah, it's
pretty
just
cool.
It's outrageous. It is, like, again, we don't want to reveal all of them. Definitely do your research and see what's there, but that is going to be fun to see how those elements unlock. I'm really curious to see like how it will do for raids.
Yeah,
because it showed certain ones I saw release are like War Turtle and stuff, and it had the clouds around it, and I was like, that's cool, but does that mean we're gonna have maybe that'll bring back some of the old raid eggs that no one does anymore?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Just because they're in the system already, they're just been inactive.
Yeah.
So will those be our new Gigantamax raids, and will you need like 5 to 6 to do them now because they're bigger, they're stronger?
How do I get to use my Gigantamax? Is it going to be connected to a pedometer thing? Like I have to walk around to charge it up to use
Hey,
it?
that would be another good incentive. Or it's just like, again, or will it be based on like, are they best friends with you?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be crazy.
I want them, again, I've always wanted them to tie back into those best friend elements. And certain folks like Altair would decimate everyone because I think he's best friends with like 90-something Pokemon.
That's insane.
And me, I am not. Like I've not been active with it like that.
A handful of best friends at most. I don't have that many.
But that's where, again, I think it should tie into some old elements. I'll be curious to see what it does. But it's cool that that's going to be coming to the game at some point. And again, it's another aspect where I think they're going to try to capitalize on the rating to get people back into stuff. I know the other thing as like a dark thought was if folks, I don't know how involved people are in certain social medias, but they're talking about a potential second lockdown, but not with COVID,
no,
but of another pox.
Yes.
With your favorite animal,
Mpox,
the monkeys. So they've had cases in like California where it's been found in like the water and things like that. The main thing I've heard for, again, people who might be cautious or weary of like lockdowns and those flashbacks of what happened a few years ago was just keeping your hands clean.
Yes.
Like when you touch surfaces, just constantly keep yourself clean. And yeah, that's your main way to disinfect. They don't know if it could be airborne.
Always be hygienic for sure.
Always be hygienic. I think that should have been something everyone should have been much better about coming out of COVID. Is just hygiene. But I do see some of those people from the Caucasus Mountains talking about how they don't like washing their hands. There was one girl who said she kept. There's one girl that said she kept getting sick because she was eating her own crap, and yeah, and I just looked at her, and every person of ethnic descent was looking at her too, just like, oh.
I'm picturing the like the Avatar when Aang looks down and he sees all the previous avatars like snapping their heads towards him, like
exactly. That was all the people like, ugh. And it brother,
what is that?
It just makes me not want to eat any other people's foods because you just don't know what people do.
Legitimately.
Or they're like I think there's like a podcast. I don't know the women's podcast. Hopefully they clean there, but they're talking about how they like performatively wash their hands. So if they know someone's in the stall, they'll just turn on the water.
No soap. Just waste the water.
Just waste the water to make it feel so they won't get judged. But I'm like, ew, bitch! Like wash your fucking
really
hands.
Not that bad.
It's not that hard. It feels nice to have clean hands. Like, why are people so scared of that?
Yeah, I've been, because George is the same way. I've been very anti-shit on my hands. Not literal shit, but I guess.
I would hope you would.
So I don't like handling meats and stuff like that.
Because it's constant hand washing.
I wear gloves now, and I'm just like, all the time. I'm just like, oh, new pair. We have a big fucking box of gloves. So it's just like gloves, like I'm working in a deli, bro. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna get my hands dirty. Working on my car, gloves. I'm not gonna get my hands because I don't like having dirty or grimy hands. For various reasons, it just feels nice to have cleaner hands.
That is strangely like one of my enjoyments is picking the dirt out from underneath nails.
Fingernails. That was like my favorite thing to do as a kid.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But anyway, yeah. So please just practice good hygiene.
Yeah.
Please don't be performative about it. Just do it.
Yeah, just take care of yourself. No one else is going to take care of you. And I don't know many people that like people smelling like just straight ass. Or ass. It doesn't have to be straight. It could be gay ass. Yeah, it
could be any ass.
Yeah, just
don't smell like ass.
Don't smell like unkempt ass, I should say. Unkempt.
Welcome to the swamp.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. Anyway, So that's a big one.
Be better.
There are resources. Do your research.
Yes.
And just, yeah.
Well, the reason why people were like joyous is because then you see like the flashback of when the raid passes were 250. They're like, come on,
Please.
bring it back. And I'm like, that shouldn't be what we're looking forward
gave
to.
Us a free remote raid pass every day or whatever.
Yeah, that was awesome. Again, I just think there's so many ways Niantic could just give back in easy ways that would boost the stuff. But because that just brings me back to one of the raid things that happened was Shadow Lugia.
Oh, yeah.
Shadow Lugia had a giant mishap because people in the earlier hemisphere or earlier time zones, when it raged out, it couldn't be calmed the fuck down.
Yeah, our beta testers in New Zealand and Australia,
bless your hearts,
literally could not beat Lugia. Like it was impossible.
Impossible
to beat Lugia.
And that just reminded me of like when we were trying to do the Shadow Entei, and we couldn't beat it with like 8 good players. I'm like this. Like we finally did, but it took forever. So for them, I was like, I feel you. It just sucks to happen on that day. I ended up going out for both days, 2 hours each day. Mm-hmm. We did roughly around like 24, 25 raids.
Pretty good.
People like Dotman X had ungodly luck, and he was trying to give it away. It didn't work as he hoped. And I think he walked away with like 5 or so shiny Lugias. Something insane. I got none. Chris, of course, got his. Of course. I think he actually got 2. So I, by default, also got 1, but it'll be purified.
I was like, too bad I can't trade to Shadows.
Yeah, I wish I could trade Shadows. But again, for folks, like, don't get hung up on it. If you weren't able to battle, it's okay. A lot of folks were trying to do Campfire. And again, Campfire is not the biggest, at least in Aurora. I know it's bigger in other areas.
Yeah.
We use Discord, so if you are on Discord, just hop into the raid channels. We are communicating, and I think we had a really diligent group, so I appreciate them for going out and helping us fight the good fight for Lugias. Again, I am hoping October brings out more Shadows. That's all I want is for that. I still will keep advocating for just a Rocket Takeover event where Shadow Pokemon are in the wild.
Yes.
Like, the Rockets stole too many Pokemon, and they had to break out from one of their facilities, and now there's Shadow Pokemon everywhere.
Yeah,
I think that'd be fantastic.
I would like to not have to fight all the time. Not that it's a big problem, but like if I could just have a day where I'm just catching Shadows, or if I could have a day where I am Team Rocket.
That or the leaders were just everywhere, like the Rocket Boss, like the Rocket Grunts.
Oh,
if I could just go ham and get those 12K eggs, I would love that.
Yeah.
For like a weekend. I would dedicate time to do that.
Rocket bosses are out there like Thanos. Like I'll just have to do it myself.
Yeah,
deal, and it's just nothing but bosses. Yeah.
Yes, I would love that. Just because again, they want us to walk. I will walk or do whatever I need to hatch the Meggies and keep fighting to get more 12K eggs.
Yep.
That's fine. I don't think they're as frequent as they should be.
Add breeding to the game.
Yes, always.
Let me pick my eggs.
But Shadow Lugia was hard. Like right now, it's hard as hell to find people to coordinate for Shadow Suicune, which is out all this month in the weekends.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get like a little baby team together. But like right now, it's just hard to get people to coordinate. And plus, because it's not having a set raid hour, it's just you're kind of at their mercy whenever
it spawns.
Whenever it spawns, which is like the worst. So again, I'm not hyper worried about it because I know they always come back. Lugia's returned from the sea too many times, and I'm okay with that. I just want to be back again, higher shiny rates. I'd be cool with it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Shadow Lugia was like the OG Shadow Pokemon.
Yeah, again, everyone wants it from the Veil of Darkness one or whatever, where it was like super dark and menacing. But no, on a side note, when it comes to Pokemon and some things going forward, because we've done a lot of those little Q&A things. When it comes to your favorite gen,
okay,
what element of the story do you think you'd change?
Favorite gen element of the story in my favorite generation
that you would change or build upon. Well, something that you think like, The reason why I ask is so on the side, like as a side project, I've been trying to make a habit tracker and make it gamified.
Okay,
so
gamify your habits. Nice.
And so I'm basing on the dimensions of wellness. So you could put in your habit, you give it 2 typings like you would a Pokemon. You can have 1 typing or 2, and then it'll track through your checkboxes. And as you do your checkboxes every day, you can raise a Pokemon up through its levels and see it evolve over time. And then I want it to be where, based on your steps a day, it'll tell you how many Pokemon you catch. And then based on your distance, it'll tell you like what route you're in. And then it will basically increase your index or list of Pokemon available to tell you what you caught. And then you can pick Pokemon to train as you go up. I think that'd be kind of cool. Just like it'd be similar to the Pokemon game, with the exception of like you're not battling, you're just catching and raising what's there, but you're using your active habits to help build them up.
Yeah,
and then you could get boosts. So like if you do certain special habits, like certain stress relief habits or certain money saving habits, it'll give you like a little multiplier, and you could pick what those are. And then if you do it that day, it's not going to be every day you do it, which is why the multiplier is nice. But it's just to give you like a boost, and you could choose how much it boosts you up. So if you do a good habit, like say you didn't cuss out a coworker, hopefully you're not cussing out your coworkers every day, but say that's a big issue for you, and you're like, I need to work on this, or not having a mental breakdown, I think is a big one, or like preventing burnout, I think is a good mental health thing to like strive for.
For sure.
If you feel yourself burning out, you start finding ways to douse your own flames. Like little things like that, I think are good. And I just want to find a way to make habit tracking more interactive and fun, which is where gamifying came up. And that leads into me doing the research on the old games to try to find like all the route information and like which Pokemon spawn in each route. How long would I make the routes in respective to like everyday walking. So I was like, I think how I rationed out was like every 2,000 or every 1,000 steps you get a Pokemon. So most people might average anywhere from like 5,000 to like 15,000 steps a day. Like a semi-casual, like more solitary person, like, or what is that? Is it solitary or sedentary?
Well, sedentaries, they don't move much. But
so a more sedentary, like office person, to a more like physically active person is like usually in the 15 to 20,000 step range.
Yeah.
So it's like, so they can, that person walking a lot can get 20 Pokemon, whereas a person sitting in the office might get 5. That seems reasonable. So I was like, okay, that's a good range. And then based on the distance walked, so 20,000 steps is roughly like 10 miles. How long is 10 miles in the game? That might get you to like Viridian City or maybe to the forest.
Interesting.
And then in the forest, I'm like, all right, forest is big. That might be 3 miles in the forest. So that's how I'm trying to find those equivalencies to make it, you can progress in the game as well. And then it opens up new environments. You get new Pokemon that you could potentially encounter and do that kind of stuff. And I think it'd be kind of cool. And I'm just trying to explore that realm and see what I can do.
And so your initial question is find something in...
What element in one of your favorite Pokemon games did you change to like add to the story?
To add to the story, that's pretty rough because they did it in a totally new game. So I always go back and forth on what my favorite generations are. For us, it's hard not to love Johto, Gen 2, Gold and Silver and Crystal. Then they did Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which we learned recently you hadn't even played yet, which is mind-blowing to me. You need to play those. But anyway, Gold, Silver, Crystal were amazing, and we watched that one video, which even deepened my love for Johto, in that it explored a lot of the history of the Johto region in Japan. And there's a lot of really interesting tie-ins with some of the mythologies there and some of their history. I love that aspect of it. And so I always go between that and Gen 4. Sinnoh is one of my other favorite generations, probably the one I played the most. Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Okay. And with Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, you have the more or less, for lack of a better term, gods of time, space, and death, which is really kind of interesting to think about in a lot of different ways. But they expanded on that game the way I wanted them to with Legends Arceus. Legends Arceus, they created a whole new game to explore the history and the importance of Arceus, because if you didn't know, Arceus is the Pokemon god, essentially. So it's just like really, really pretty interesting to see that, and obviously it was fun to see all the tie-ins with quote-unquote modern Sinnoh and the past, which is known as Hisui, that region. So I guess what I'm getting at is I really like how the games tie in with the regions that they reflect. And some of the things that I would like to see in more of these games are items such as that you can go to these regions and really explore them through the lens of Pokemon, which is what we always wanted out of Pokemon Go as well. Pokemon Go could be an incredible tool to help teach people about different cultures and things like that. And so, like, when you do things in these Pokemon games, you're like, that seems kind of silly to my American brain, but then you look at it in the Japanese context, because I'm in a Japanese region, that's really interesting. Or when you go to Gen 7, which is in, Alola, which is more or less Hawaii and some other Pacific islands, they have malasadas, very important cuisine of those cultures. And so, like, I remember malasadas in the game. So when I went to Hawaii, I was like, I want malasadas.
Man, I have to have
I
this.
need them, and they're essentially super donuts. So, but you can also get savory ones and stuff too.
Yeah.
But either way, I love being able to explore aspects of culture in Pokemon games, and I really like that they've been branching out into different regions. They've been covering regions a lot. So Scarlet Violet was in Spain. You had Sword and Shield in the UK, more or less. You had, again, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon are in Hawaii. So I really like that aspect of it. So in answering your question, I'm kind of just going in circles about it. But more or less, I don't know how that applies. But you're already kind of doing it, like researching why do these Pokemon spawn on these routes. So when you go into like the Sinnoh region or whatever, and you're like, okay, why does this Pokemon, or even Hoenn, which is Gen 3, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, why do these certain Pokemon spawn in the desert? And it's like you can trace that back to some old mythological tale. So that's an aspect that I don't know if change, but maybe enhance or really research,
provide more info.
So I think research and really understanding that. If there was, like, for lack of a better term, a guidebook that helped connect those cultural things, whether that's research I have to put together that I have to make the guidebook on, not sure, but that's something I would like to see explored more, or at least expressed more, because there's so much in these games, and it's always hilarious to me to see, like, some Pokemon, I'll say, quote, fans, unquote, because the best way that they play these games is to just mash A and not pay attention to the, like, any of the story bits, anything that might be relevant in that, where they're going or what they're doing in the game. All they want to do is beat the shit out of things.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's a valid play.
That's cool. And then you can play however you want. It's just, like, really interesting to me. If anyone ever said Pokemon had no substance, they'd be sorely mistaken. So
yeah, it'd be
there's a lot that goes into the game. There's a lot that goes into the research for these regions, and for the reason even some of the Pokemon designs that are specific to regions.
Okay.
And it's really kind of fascinating. So that's a big one, and I guess to that point would also be Pokemon themselves, Pokemon designs in themselves.
Okay.
More regional specific, not, oh, this is the Sinnohian version of Quagsire or whatever, but more or less, like, when I do the new Pokemon designs, make it relevant to the region in which
and, like, explain and why.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. For me, just because I've been stuck in Kanto for my little Gamify research, certain aspects that I wish we got to explore more, even, like, years later, like if they do, like, the remakes and you go back and you check them out, were just some of the location-based things. So I would love for there to be a more thorough investigation on, like, Mount Moon or the power plant where Zapdos was. Like, why is Zapdos hanging out in a power plant? Of all the places, like, when you had the movie, he had his own island. how did he go from the island to the power plant? Doesn't make sense. Or like, why is Articuno chilling at Seafoam Islands? Why is it seafoam and not ice? Why is he like? What is the point of this area? It's just a random cave. How is this cave discovered? They never once talked about the cerulean like caves where Mewtwo is, and why is Mewtwo there?
Right.
Of all places, how did he find this sacred cavern and just fall there? That's what I never understood, that they never explained. Indigo Plateau makes sense, and even like the colors and all that makes sense after doing more research. Like indigo is like one of the main unique colors of Japan, and how they make it takes so much fucking effort. Watch the TikToks if you're ever bored. They're really cool of how they get their deep indigo colors. But
for like 3 months, my favorite color was indigo because I was trying to be different. Legitimately, I was just like, indigo is a great color.
It is.
Yeah.
And plus the name is dope.
I do love indigo, but anyway.
But it's one of those things where like there's certain places, so like the power plant was one, Seafoam Island was another, Cinnabar Island, Lavender Town, the tower.
Yep.
Like how that came to be. Like I would love to learn more about the origins there. So like if they ever did like a Legends Kanto, I would love to see like those places at the start. Like, how do they come about? Or if it jumped to the future, like, because Mewtwo's no longer in the cerulean caves, do those cave systems break? I'm thinking of it like almost Delicious in the Dungeon. Like, is he the master of the dungeon and he created all that? Like, or is that where all the clone Pokemon went? Or is that where they all reside because they're too fucking powerful? Like, it's just an aspect of the game that's just never touched on after that.
Right.
And it was something I liked because, again, the original games, and that was why when I was thinking of this Gamify version of it, or this habit tracker version of Kanto, that I liked Kanto in the sense like you couldn't just easy XP level up your Pokemon. No, they had to be involved with your grind, which I think I would want to do as well. So it'd be like you're switching out. So say you got your base Pokemon to 100. All right, well, let's look in your catch inventory, pick a Pokemon, say I'm training you up. Let's put the picture so you can see it leveling up with you. Then you do that, and you have like your team roster, like your 100 roster built up.
Yeah.
I also need to find out how I can code shinies, because I would love to code shiny, at least even just to have the little emblem, but have it be random number generated.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I was thinking, I guess you could just run into them. I didn't know if that would be tied to some kind of exploratory thing that you did.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, maybe I'm making it too complex in the sense, like, let me just have all Pokemon and have their rates of encounter noted, and just have the whole Pokemon roster of Pokemon that you can encounter in Pokemon Red and Blue. I think right now, this is my nerd research, you have at least 542 opportunities to run to different Pokemon.
Okay.
Like, again, there's a lot of repeat numbers, but in all your encounters for all the routes and all the cities, there's roughly that many in the game.
Interesting.
So, like, Mewtwo's in there, but it's only one encounter. Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, one encounter. But you can still run into them. So I'm, like, partially debating if I should just be like, you have the whole dex of them that you can run into as you progress. I can have the city advancement, which is pretty easy. It's just a tracker, and they'll say, if then between two statements, you're at this one.
Okay. That's
not too hard to program. And then the Pokemon roster is like an index, and it can search and be like, random number generator, you got this is a Pokemon you ran into.
Interesting.
Not too hard to do. And then the shiny could just be like, random dice roll, what the fuck did you get? This Pokemon is shiny. Then it's like, you got a shiny. Like, could do that, but then like having it raised up and have a buddy is a nice visual to see it like evolve over time.
Yeah.
And then again, you can switch out. So you're like, yeah, August, I raised my Bulbasaur. I got him to Venusaur just barely at level 32 by day 26. Okay. He's level 32, but when we bring another Pokemon in, I would like to raise this one up instead. Raise it up. But I made it to where in 1 month you're not going to reach level 100. It's going to take at least 3 months to get it because of how much experience you need, and you build experience by completing all the tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Each one has like some sort of value, and then it comes down and that contributes to your overall experience. Your overall experience then contributes to levels.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think it'd be cool. And
cool.
I was like, I'm going to explore it and see what I can do, but I just think it'd be fun. And again, I think it's just a way to mix the passions, mix skills with Pokemon, and then be like,
I
see
think
what's
it makes
up.
a lot of sense. Gamifying stuff is really kind of interesting, especially when it's an IP that you care about, right? So Pokemon is nice because I feel like it's an easy to adapt IP for a system like that. That system's fairly complex in its simplicity, but it's still like really interesting, and I think it's pretty fun, or it sounds pretty fun. But you notice that like if you gamify something, people take a whole new like interest in it. So for instance, it's like collecting stuff almost, right? Oh, in this case, Pokemon, collect them all. But like we went to in Hawaii with a couple of our friends. We went to at Dole. They have the quote world's largest maze or something, and throughout this maze you get a little card, and you have to find 8 stands, and then you have to fill in these stands per the card.
Okay.
Fill in the card rather per each stand. So you go around and you collect stamps more or less in this maze.
Oh, similar to like the Japan train station.
I was going to use that as an example. So the Japanese, a lot of Japanese train stations have a station stamp. And you can collect them in a notebook, or they make special stamp books just for that. So it's another added thing to collect. In 2019, when we went to the Halo convention, we got dog tags
so sweet
for doing for placing in certain events. So if you won, you might get a normal dog tag, but if you did something competitively and you placed first place, you get the gold version of the dog tag. So we were trying to collect as many dog tags as possible because
hell yeah,
it was fun. So we ran a fucking train on everybody in the in laser tag, just like nonstop. So we had like 10 different dog tags just from laser tag. But then we did one. There's like an escape room style. If you actually escaped in time, you got a dog tag. There was one, Chris went up. There was a Marine station there, and they were like, hey, if you can beat our Marines in pull-ups, we'll give you a dog tag. Well, Chris beat them in pull-ups, so he got a dog tag specifically for that. But it was like really fun because going to a convention is already fun. There's already a ton going on. I've already spent way too much money at the gift shop or the
That's
merch.
something that NDK and a lot of other conventions need to adopt.
The merch area, but adding that little gamified thing to it, just collectibles. Yeah. The other thing they had was like there was a companion app, but they had a museum of a bunch of Halo stuff, and there was secret codes to scan at each of like most of these larger special,
similar to like the Jurassic Park one where it's like there's secret messages and you're
very much like that. So if you scan it, you got to collect them, and at the end, if you had them all, you could turn them into someone and you get something for it. So it's like stuff like that. The incentive is collect stuff, maybe even get more stuff. But it totally made our experience that much more fun.
Yeah.
We went around and we had a blast going around, like I said, going around the convention, but we had even more fun, obviously doing it as a group, but like just doing the things and getting free stuff. It was like dangling the shiny shit in front of my face, and I loved every bit of it. That's what kind of made me think of. So you're gamifying your good habits is amazing because bad habits are really hard to break.
Yeah.
That's for everybody, and I know people that struggle with them very hard. There's people that are making really good progress in that. I think if they had a tracking system like that, that would incentivize them to go just a little bit further. They could be pretty stellar. Good habits are also hard to. Well, and
even if it's simply don't do this habit.
Yeah.
Like don't like again. Some people now, especially coming out of like COVID and all that. A lot of people are now like pretty heavy drinkers.
Yes.
Certain things. So if it's like have one wine, not the bottle, that's a success. If you just have one glass as opposed to the whole bottle, that is a success.
Yeah.
It's a baby step, but it is still a success nonetheless.
Absolutely.
So if you're doing that or like, hey, when I drink, I'm not going to black out. That's another success. Like, you're striving not to get to incoherent states.
It's huge.
Good job.
And in the system that you're discussing.
Yes.
experience, you can get experience through various things. So yeah, one drink, or like, you know, not having any alcohol might be, let's just use an arbitrary number, 10 experience.
Okay.
But if you only have one glass of wine, in this case, maybe that's still 5 or 8 experience or whatever. It's less than just not drinking, but you still get experience for doing a smaller step, because that's just as important as any large step.
Exactly.
So like, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I think it's a really cool way to really look at things like that. And again, if you're interested in that, in an IP like Pokemon, it's fun to watch. Like you said, your Bulbasaur go from Bulbasaur to Ivysaur.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull it up for you right now.
Like, do you remember the first time a Pokemon evolved for you in a game?
Oh, I lost my mind, like, because I didn't know what was happening, and then when it changed, I was like, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so like some of the habits I have in mind, again, I was just experimenting. It was like clear bed, take vitamins, stretch, do a food journal, personal journal, go for a walk, unwind. But you can make it whatever you want, whatever habits you're trying to do. So if it's just like say, or goals for yourself, so like, I want to finish this anime, I want to watch an episode of this anime, and then you just check off as you go.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's whatever habit works for you that will bring you something. So the dimensions of wellness that it works within that you would assign to the habit is emotional, environmental, financial, intellectual, occupational, physical, social, and spiritual.
Okay.
Habits, and I feel habits can fit more than one, but for Pokemon's sake, I might just keep it to 2.
Yeah.
And then it'll track your little charts from there. It'll like produce a graph. Right now, I clicked out of majority of them so I could clear it, and then I can start fresh. But I have a little Bulbasaur sitting at the bottom.
Yeah.
If I have nothing for that day, it'll just be like Ash will be standing there.
Just like.
But then once I start interacting, you start with, so I have Bulbasaur starting off, and then you can go through, and then over time, you'll see what day Bulbasaur evolves. So that way, it's more, you remember that day. Like, I got all this.
Yeah.
I got Ivysaur. Sweet. I'm going to keep working up. And for most people, they want to see it to completion. So I think it's like that. It's nice to have the visual. This is like the graph stuff, where it's like, I have the images, but I'm trying to figure out, I have this regular bar graph that shows it, and then I also figured out how to make progression bars. So again, this is helping me develop my Excel skills. I showed this to my intern. He's like, what the fuck? Like, you're just making this? I was like, yeah, I was watching TikToks, and they like showed me this, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
And I was going a tangent. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. Like, I love learning different things, and then it just helps me to understand it better and then progress forward.
Absolutely.
So like, it's just cool. I enjoy it, and it's a way for me to like translate skills, but also try to find fun ways for folks that might not just do a journal or a planner to stay on top of their stuff. Like me, I have like my pixel journal stuff, which I fall behind for like a week, and then I'll like catch back up.
Right.
But it's like, that's not horrible, but I want to make stuff more routine, because I used to have better habits. I feel like everyone used to have some habits, and again, I still understand and have grace to like give myself a break, because we did come out of a fucking global pandemic. People dealt with a lot, and it's okay to bounce back from that. As long as you're not setting yourself back, you're still going forward. So I think it's important. And going back to Pokemon-ness, there's going to be other fun events coming up. Like you said, we're coming up on the Holy Trinity. That is of holidays. So like September is like, it's kind of just me eerily like rubbing my hands together, just like waiting, because I want all the holiday candy. I'm looking forward to the candy corns, as much as people despise that candy.
You and Carla both.
I love candy corns. Apparently that makes us menaces. Like, some people are like, you guys are demons, and I love it. I'm looking forward to the pumpkin spice Hourz coming back out and
PSLs.
Just putting in their light blood at the Starbucks.
You know, it comes out tomorrow, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Get them.
I'm already in line for my PSL deep.
What else? I'm looking forward to Turkey Day. Like, Terrell and I already bought turkey bags in preparation for Thanksgiving. Because I think we're going to meal prep some turkeys. and cook them beforehand and just be like, we're gonna have fucking protein all November. We're gonna be fucking set.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
we're gonna buy them when they're discounts and just be like, cook that shit up. Here we go. We actually just got the griddle running too.
Oh, the black stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Terrell seasoned it this weekend. He cooked some smash burgers on it and some fajitas. Solid.
That's the truth. Love to see
So
it.
yeah, stuff like that. So I'm excited. Looking forward to not being burned alive by this 100 and whatever degree weather. And I already have like hoodies lined up. Like I'm like they're just sitting there just waiting for me. And
Yeah,
I'm
I put all my
so
hoodies
excited.
and coats and shit in storage. I'm ready to get them out. I'm sick of my summer quote unquote clothes. So.
Yeah. So
awesome. We got anything else for the people?
again, please maintain your hygiene.
Be safe out there.
Please don't spread. I don't want monkeypox to spread. I don't want there to be another shutdown.
Please.
So do that. If you're, like you said earlier, for any big event day where lures or incenses, lures have 3-hour windows, don't start it don't put it in beforehand. For the love of God.
It's okay to have it like a minute after the event
Yes,
starts,
I love the energy. I love the initiation to do it yourself. That is great. Just don't put it in beforehand because it not only impacts the play,
That's what she said.
you just kind of waste your lure, and it could be better spent just waiting that extra minute.
For sure.
So,
Anyway, all right. Yeah, so just be safe out there, everybody.
yes.
Looking forward to a bunch of stuff on the horizon. We love you guys. Yeah.
Stay safe, okay? Bye.
Bye.